Voto Rico team. I'm providing you with this video feedback to give you very specific directions on the revisions and edits you need to make to your paper in order to be successful for your final paper submission at the end of the semester. So I've made some formatting changes here. Actually, this should be like this. And you'll see I've got track changes on so you can see everything that I've done. You have an original version of your paper though, so you know that you can always go to review, tracking, and just turn it off. No markup, and it'll look like that. So, but we want to go back to all markup. Or you can turn track changes off or on throughout your paper. So let's go through and see. There were lots of formatting issues here. Be sure that you're using the right font, the right type size, starting each page at the top of the page. I've made some extensive revisions to your executive summary here. So I urge you to review the APA style resources that are provided in the left-hand column on our class Blackboard page. So I'm going to pull it over here so that you can see we have a wealth of, right in here, APA style resources. I urge you to use these resources so that you can limit first-person usage. So there should be no more than about 10 times throughout your paper that you use the words, first-person words. What are first-person words? I, me, my, we, our, ours. So I've highlighted all of them where you have our overused. So instead of saying our campaign, you can say this campaign or the Voto Rico campaign. But if we look for how many times our is in this paper, 28. How many times we is in this paper, we find 8. So that's 36 times you're using first-person narration, which makes the paper read as though it was this personal journey that your group is taking. You want to limit first-person usage. No more than 10 times can you use we, our in your paper. You should never use I in your paper. Certainly never we think, we feel, we believe. I believe that you actually used I in some of your paper here when you talked about finding other campaigns. You want to avoid that. I did find, no, 2 campaigns similar to the Voto Rico campaign, and that they reached out to Puerto Rican voters included the Vote for America, right? The movement's not capitalized, right? And neither would be nonpartisan. So you don't use this first-person personal journey. No contractions, not it's, but it is. You also need to tell us what you learned from these campaigns. What did you learn about the messages, the channels, the themes, the events that these campaigns executed that were successful, that you tried to integrate into your campaign, or that were not successful, so you did not integrate into your campaign? And then we come into the campaign plan here. Remember that you and your team will not execute this campaign, so you don't write in your paper or say in your presentation that we will have tabling events at Bravo supermarkets or that we will post on social media, because we're not going to be doing those things, right? So it would not be accurate to say that we're going to do those things. You're writing a formal campaign plan for the League of Women Voters to execute, not you or your team. So we need to get rid of a lot of this first person. If your paper refers to using events, you need to make sure that you're telling us what day, what time, what location, that means street address, where these events would occur. If you're talking about tabling events at Bravo supermarkets, what date, based on day of the week, would be best? Do you propose? It can't just be this vague, oh, we can do this at Bravo. No. We did some analysis and some research, so we have picked these dates, maybe 5 dates, over the course of your campaign? And then what times would the tables be set up? Is it okay? Have you talked to Bravo supermarkets and seen if they would give permission to the League of Women Voters to table there? And what materials, what activities would go on at that tabling to get people involved? If you're talking about using social media, be sure that the tactics and timeline section describes the content, the words and the images, the verbal and the visual content that will be posted, along again with the dates and times and the purposes of those social media posts. And you have to identify what platform. So if you don't use social media, because there are thousands of social media platforms, specifically talk about using the League of Women Voters Orange County Facebook page, maybe creating a Voto Rico Facebook page. But you have to provide specific details about the images and the words, the dates, the times, and the platforms that will be used in any type of social media outreach. Never use PR and just you want to write out Puerto Rico, right? Not PR, right? This is not an APA in-text citation here. The overall themes that this campaign will be creating and promoting, so that would be this, not our. Puerto Rican has had on society and the well-being of the territory. Are you talking about Puerto Rico or our country? Another thing I want to point out to you is don't say American, because the United States is only a small part of America. So it's U.S., not America. When you're talking about American politics, it's U.S. politics. But try to be much more precise. I think I've provided you, we need to know what dates, times, locations these things are going to occur, what dates and locations would you be at these events. So you'll need to look up what are the dates, what are the locations, what are the times of these events, what dates, times, and street addresses of the specific Bravo supermarkets do you plan to stage events. You'll need to provide some more explanation about social media in terms of the Facebook pages you'll be using. What Facebook pages are you talking about? Does the League of Women Voters of Orange County have more than one? And maybe they need a Voto Rico page. A timeline begins on a specific date and ends on a specific date. Doesn't begin in May. When in May? There's 31 days there. So you need to be very precise about your timeline. The campaign begins on this date and ends on this date. Okay. So here the campaign begins on June. But here the campaign begins recruiting volunteers in May. So there's like a contradiction here, right? You need to provide dates and times and dates and times. And then finally, in the, I don't know that this needs to be this big. I think it could be scrunched up quite a bit so that maybe it would fit there on that page. You could even still make it bigger and it would fit. I don't think it needs its own page though, right? The measurement criteria and evaluation plan doesn't give us any information about the numbers that you're using to evaluate your plan. It's just very vague, not particularly meaningful content here. So what is the objective that you're using as a key performance indicator? What is the number here? I don't see any number that would allow you to evaluate the success of the campaign. Certainly we do not have 2 entries per team member in the bibliography here. You cannot just provide descriptions of what campaign items would look like. You have to actually do mock-ups of these campaign items. I encourage you to use a service such as Canva, and you can create mock-ups for you. It's free, and it'll allow you to design and create mock-ups for everything from t-shirts to flyers to posters to social media posts. You'll have to create an account, but it's free, and then you can make your promotional items. Okay? Overall, good start, guys, but still quite a bit of work to do. Let me know if you have any